Hello. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's a little bit windy. I don't know if you can hear on there, and I still need to get one of those things for the top of my camera to stop the audio from going funny with the wind. So I'm really sorry if it sounds a bit windy or funny, but yes, today I'm in my tent because I'm going to be chatting and giving my experience on walking Hadrian's Wall. I'm absolutely no professional, but I just want to talk about my experience because I found blogs and YouTube videos so useful when I was researching. Each one is so unique, and because I have my dog Arthur with me, I thought it would be good to make this video about what it's like to walk it with a dog as well. So yes, in July, myself, my mum, my dog Arthur and our best friend Michelle all walked Hadrian's Wall over 5.5 days, and I kind of just want to talk in this video about things like where we camped, how far we walked each day. So it's just going to be an honest guide to walking Hadrian's Wall. One thing I'm not going to talk about is things like gear, because to be honest, I just want to talk about the experience itself. The Hadrian's Wall path is an 84-mile or 135-kilometre long national trail stretching coast to coast across northern England from Wallsend in Newcastle upon Tyne in the east to Bowness-on-Solway in Cumbria on the west. Over 5.5 days this July, myself, my dog Arthur, my mum and our best friend Michelle all walked the whole of Hadrian's Wall from coast to coast. In terms of how long it takes, generally it takes between I think 3 or 4 to 9 days to do it, so depending on what intensity you're going for, and we did it in 5.5. So we started on the Sunday and we finished on the Friday morning. So originally my plan was to wild camp the whole way because I really like being connected to nature and it's just a simple way of doing it. However, obviously that's not allowed in England, and when I was researching more about wild camping on the wall, it's a very, very popular walk and a very touristy national trail to choose to do, especially with how busy it's been this summer. After lockdown ending, everyone's gone out. So we had to consider that it would be a lot busier than it normally would be in those touristy sections. And it's also surrounded by farmland, so we didn't want to get into trouble by camping on someone's land. So basically my research brought me to just paying for campsites every night, which was a nice in between, I think, for everybody. Michelle had never camped before. It was her first proper camping trip, and mum, although she has camped before, she definitely doesn't like the amenities being taken away, so a campsite was perfect, I think. And in terms of Arthur, he's very easy, he's a very laid back dog, and I think with the campsites it brought a lot of socialisation for him, which is really important because he's had a bit of an anxiety around men in particular. I don't know why. So I think the campsites, especially with having a dog, was really nice for his socialisation, and there were always other dogs there for him to play with. This trip really helped his confidence in terms of socialisation. I was more on the wild camping option of things, but obviously with my research I decided, yeah, we should, with everyone's considerations put in, we should choose campsites instead. I really don't have much experience, so it's not coming from like masses experience. I have very limited experience of this anyway, compared to my boyfriend Sam, who's literally like hiked across Sweden a couple of times, like away from anything. So compared to him, I really don't have as much experience with things like that, but I was easygoing with choosing paid campsites because it worked for everyone. In terms of getting to Hadrian's Wall, we live in Suffolk, so we live very far away from the wall, and I think it was about a 6-hour drive. So we drove up on the Saturday, the day before we were starting the walk, because we wanted to pit stop in Redcar, which is about an hour below Newcastle, just to camp for the night, and so we wouldn't have a massive long drive the day of starting it, because it is quite a trek for us. And I just thought that was a really good decision to do. So if you are coming from far, maybe consider just having one whole day the first day just to dedicate to travel, because it gets all of that out the way. Plus it's an extra night of camping, which is obviously not a bad thing at all. So day one, on my research I found a website called yourparkingspace.co.uk, and basically we used this service and paid £20 for a whole month, even though we were only there for a week. we paid, it was like only a rolling monthly thing, so I paid for 1 month, there's £20, to keep the car in a Tesco's car park that was near the start. It was a really good decision, I think. The Sunday we woke up from Redcar, drove an hour up to Newcastle, well up to Wallsend, and that's where we left the car in the Tesco's car park. It was then a 3.8 mile walk to the start of the trail, which is the, I can't say it, I've got it written down here, Segedunum? The Segedunum, I think, Roman fort, which is the start of the trail if you're walking east to west like we did, which is actually a less popular way to do it apparently, but we felt it was the better way personally. We really enjoyed doing it that way. Hello Arthur. I'm currently outside the start of Hadrian's Wall. What are you seeing, Arth? I don't know if you can see me, but we've just had to walk 3 miles to the actual start from where we've left the car to start the walk. And now we've got like 14 miles ahead of us of more walking. It's very hot. I've got water for Arth that he's drinking. And Mum and Michelle have gone into the museum to see what the situation is with the passports. Because apparently we can get passports and get it stamped along the way. My bag, Mum's bag, Michelle's bag. No one to think mine is the heaviest with how many bloody fruit and nut bags that I'm carrying.
Right, you get under, you lot.
What?
You lot get under.
Okay.
Where's what you got there? I can't use the bag enough, have I?
Oh, why is it out of focus? So we walked the 3.8 miles there, which was a good kind of breaking into the day, getting used to carrying our rucksacks with all the camping gear in, because obviously we were carrying all our camping gear, getting adjusted to having Arthur clipped onto my rucksack, so the middle strap, the hip strap here on my pack is quite a thick one, so I just clipped a carabiner clip, and then Arthur was attaching me, so it was kind of just getting used to things like that those first few miles to the start. And we got to the start and collected our Hadrian's Wall passports, which are £5 little like passports, and you stamp at certain forts and sections along the way. I think it's a really sweet idea, and all the money goes to the National Trail, so I think it was a really nice thing to do. And I got Arthur his own one as well, so Arthur had his own passport. Wait, oh god. Oh. I don't know what she's saying. Hi. Hi. Oh, hi. We've just... No, I won't bother going up there.
We're just watching the hairy hiker, Michelle. Mama hiker number 2.
Mama hiker number 2. My second mum.
And here she is. Anything to say now?
No, nothing to see up there.
No. Done all that for nothing.
Oh. So we've just started Hadrian's Wall, 80, what are we setting on, 87 or 84 miles?
84.
84
well,
miles.
Let's split it, 85. Yeah.
Okay, 85-ish miles from coast, the east coast to the west coast, from Newcastle to past Carlisle.
Yeah, Bowness-on-Solway, Bowness.
We just, yeah, like I said, had to walk 3 miles to get to the start point, but now we've done that, now we're on our way.
Yay, finally.
Arth's doing well, he's attached to me.
Yeah, England wins.
Oh, it's England tonight.
Yay!
It's his mum,
yeah,
and that's Michelle. All you can see is a floating backpack with arms. And legs, there's legs too. Yeah. Wow.
I've all got legs, I'm watching the show. I'm watching.
Don't do that again. Oh god, okay. So from the start to our first camp spot, it was a 16-mile walk that first day, and that was the High Hermitage campsite just outside of Wylam. It was £16 each, and they charged £3 for having a dog as well, and that was the most expensive one. It was a tough first day, mainly because walking through Newcastle was just a bit like samey. Like walking through a city is great, it's a fab city, but it was really hard on the feet compared to the trail and like grassland of the rest of the trail. It was very hard underfoot, especially for Arthur. We kept applying a lot of this cream. I'll put a picture of it on screen, and it helps with like cracked or sore pads. It just hardened them up a bit for his walking because it was really hard on him as well. Part of the walk goes onto the River Tyne Trail to get to this campsite, so we actually broke off from Hadrian's Wall to get to this campsite because I couldn't find another campsite nearer to the wall. So that was the most amount of mileage we went away from Hadrian's Wall itself.
I don't get me crack out for anyone. I think it goes on that wall.
Do you want to say that was on camera?
The crack and flat. That's what we could have called ourselves. The crack and flat.
Mum's crack, Michelle's flats. What about me and Arth?
You and Arth are just normal at the minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
We haven't got any crack situations going on. Day two we walked 16 miles again, part of which was the footpaths up to back up to Hadrian's Wall. It wasn't too far to get back up, but I will speak in a minute about how difficult it was to get back up to the wall. But it was from that campsite we walked to campsite 2, which was Green Cart's campsite and bunkhouse near Walwick. The second campsite was £8 each and Arthur was completely free. We had a really warm welcome, even though we arrived way later than what was advertised on their website. So overall, really enjoyed that one. That was one of our favourites. This day was really wet. It was the only day where it just rained pretty much continuously the whole day. The bad part, to be honest, that made it really difficult was that diversion back up to Hadrian's Wall from the first campsite, and I was using the OS Maps app to follow the footpaths back up to Hadrian's Wall. So we chosen these footpaths, which looked a really good way to get back up to the path. But unfortunately, one of the farmers hadn't cut down any part of the footpath through his fields, and it took us through brambles, nettles, like literally all of the overgrown foliage you can think of. Everywhere was absolutely perfect apart from this particular farmer's field, so he just hadn't either gotten round to it yet, or he was just, I don't know, he just hadn't cut it down. But you could see people before us had done the same thing to get up to the wall, because I did read online a lot of people did these diversions to get from campsites or B&Bs back up to the wall. So we could see marks where people had gone through doing the same thing as us, so obviously they'd had this struggle as well. And I know it's to be expected, but it did make it really hard, especially as it was absolutely pouring it down. There was also 2 huge rape fields, and honestly our legs were just completely shredded. I've experienced public footpaths not being cared for, especially with recent running near our local town. We had a similar experience and got shredded again there. So it's just something to be aware of, that not all the public footpaths are going to be easily accessible. Another bad thing that happened this day was really sad, really upset me because I didn't know that he was in pain. We hadn't realised Arthur's harness had rubbed him really badly from getting so wet and from going through all the foliage and all the rape fields and stuff. All the foliage had got under his harness. We all felt so guilty for not having realised it, because we got to a pub and we had a pub lunch, which was very bougie, but it was where the first stamp stop was. So we went to this pub and he'd just gone to sleep at our feet, so we hadn't tried to get the harness off him or anything. We just let him sleep and dry out a little, so we just felt really guilty for not having taken it off or realised sooner. And being a Springer, he just bounces on like nothing's happening. He had no complaints, he just kept stopping and itching, and that was when we eventually realised it had rubbed red raw his sides under his arms. It looked so painful. So we got a lot more of the cream on, slathered it all on, but to be honest we were just using the harness to stop him from pulling so much through Newcastle, but on the rest of the wall, so much of it he could just be next to us, or just on his collar on the lead, and he's so good. He just stays near us, he just is always by our side. So we just from there on for the whole rest of the trip used his collar. That was a bit of a crazy day. We still really enjoyed it, but it did really upset me seeing Arthur in so much pain, but he healed really quickly from it, thankfully.